If we do this, if we invert that, then I reckon we'll go for longs. We can go for longs back up into this range, right? Target. There's heaps of room, right? You can pull out this range, so you can pull out a range from low to high. And so we have tapped into OTE. So if we're going to have a trend continuation, but I still need to see this inverted or some impulse at least, you can enter off impulse, right? Or you can wait for the inversion. That's what I'm saying. And all the sell side imbalances above. So you can enter off impulse if you want. This is a risky spot to enter because we haven't inverted it. If you want to wait for the inversion, wait for it. So I'm going to mark some stuff out. This will be a sell side sweep here. And then we've come down, swept that low. Potential SMT. Let me just double check with yeah, so we haven't swept that low on ES. Hasn't been swept. But it's definitely it's closing in interesting, positions. Would be the best way to put it. Right. Looks like we're pushing up. That's an inversion there. So I'm going to label that as an inversion. There's buy side above, guys. Low resistance, all that's low resistance. Bit of a weird one. I'll skip a gap. And then maybe somewhere up here. We can see what we do there and then see if we can push price up there. So just going to see how we trade through these highs. I want it to be pretty quick because it's all low resistance. Almost. But yeah, that's what I'll be saying up here now into this inversion. So looking for price to trade higher, just based on what we did there. This, we should be able to purge that pretty quickly because it's just there, sitting there. And then I'd be looking up here, at least into this area if you're in a trade. Like you can take partials, right? It's fine. But say in terms of runners and stuff, you can look for a price to trade up here. Or at least if you mark out this range. So we're playing the range from one to the other. We've come up here, back down into the range. Ideally, I wanted to take shorts and look for shorts. However, because of that impulse back up, I changed my mind. And because we had low resistance and we had SMT at the lows. So now I'd be drawing a Fibonacci from this high to this low, right? And that would give you a range. But you could probably hold if you're in the trade or trail your stop up. But that should definitely be like a partial or something if you're in the trade. Trail your stops up. That low resistance taken out now. That's OTE. I'm going to mark out the halfway point of the range too. So we just tapped on that. You got options. Depending how you got filled, you should have got at least 10, 15 handles. But I'd still take something off you, even if you've got a bad fill. If you've got a bad fill, you still can get your 10 handles. And then two options, depending how you get filled, you can go to break even, you can trail up very aggressively, or just leave it. I wouldn't, like if you're in the trade, I wouldn't be not at break even, is what I'm trying to say. If you're watching, keep watching, that's cool. Now I'm just observing to see what we do as we tap into this 0.5 level. Right, that's my curiosity. So the thing is, sometimes in these situations, right, you you get that little skipping in price, so your entry is not the best, or my entry is not the best. Like sometimes that'll happen. In those situations, I think I've talked to a few people about this privately, and we've talked about it. In those situations, sometimes I will sacrifice risk to reward on my trade because I know that the ideal entry probably would have come from here, but because of how quick it was, if you've entered here somewhere, in my opinion, it's okay to sacrifice on a little bit of risk to reward because your targets, right, or the spot that you wanted to target would have been, at least that 1-to-1 that you're looking for, if that makes sense. That's one time when I'd say it's relevant. So now let's see. I wonder if we can play both sides of the range. Like it just depends what we do here. If we come up like this into OT, maybe we can actually look for that short after all. But again, at the moment, we're seeing this push up. So in conditions where there's a lot of, when there's a lot of chaotic nature, you have to be nimble, and that's why I think that's why I think these conditions are tricky. because it could literally be a matter of 2, 3 minutes where originally I'm like, yeah, okay, I want to see this happen like this. And then all of a sudden, okay, we flip it with that candle. And then from what that candle does in the next couple of candles, it moves from, oh yeah, we'll take a short to we'll take a long now. That's the tricky part, I think, about these conditions. The quickness of the trading ideas. So SMT, the lows with sell side sweep. Inversion fair value gap here. Little skip in price, low resistance. If you're holding up to runners, then I mean, it's up to you. If you just take the base hit, you take the base hit. But for runners here, you just be watching to see what we do there. We haven't formed any down close candles yet, so you'd be watching to see what we do after one. What I find for me is I trade best when I've got a clear mind. Most people do, right? Most people do. So same thing I was talking about the other day about rushing to trade. It's probably not a good idea. It's probably not a good idea. Right, we're back in OTE. I always remind myself, and this for anyone too, right? The markets will always be here. There's always going to be another day in the markets, right? There's always going to be another week. So what you're seeing this week will happen again at some other point in time. So you just got to remember that the patterns will repeat. They'll continue to happen. So it's both the same idea for me now. We've pulled back into OTE. I wouldn't trust just one inversion. I'd probably want to see a little bit more because I wouldn't trust that necessarily. I want to see a little bit more. So say, for example, we invert a gap here. I'd wait for a little bit more and maybe wait for an order block creation. That's probably what I'd be looking for. You want to see expansion? So if you're looking for a trade, you want to see expansion, have a tight stop. I wouldn't risk too much on it. Because that's accumulation, right? So you don't want it to, if it keeps wicking, then you just drop your stop. And then if we close down here, I'd probably look for a re-entry and put a stop above this green candle. That's what I'd say. Or enter off impulse, put a stop here. That's probably what I'd do in this situation. If I still believe the narrative, I'd be happy to, to retry it, if that makes sense. Not everyone's happy to do that, which is okay. There's obviously risk that comes with that, but that's like a personal thing. So that's the order block creation there. So I'm going to mark that as an inversion now. And that's just the beauty of trading. The beauty of trading, right? So that there, here's the thing, like looking at what's happened here and then hold runners to the lows. Stop probably would move above this big candle now. So I'd take a partial somewhere here, somewhere there, and then stop above here, and that's it. Not everyone's going to want to re-enter the trade again, and it's understandable. But if the narrative's still in play, then in my opinion, it's still okay. Yeah, have a great weekend, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk very soon. Any questions, just send me a message. If you're still looking for trades, like I said, I'd just be looking for shorts. Look for pullbacks up and then continuations back down. That would be my thing if I was moving forward here. But yeah, all the best, guys. We'll talk very soon. Peace out.